like an overflow. How was the experience yesterday for you, Naimasharanya Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. It was ecstatic, so I had service in the morning. So we went in the morning, and it was so nice to decorate Srila Prabhupada and the altar. And then after that, we had somebody stop by. He got a Srimad Bhagavatam set. He drove 45 minutes just to get the set on, yesterday. So that was a very nice experience. And then all the devotees here in Dallas, we got together and we read the entire Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And it was really ecstatic experience just reading the entire Bhagavad Gita in one sitting and just going through the motion of what Arjuna was feeling and how Krishna explained the Gita to him. It was very nice, ecstatic feeling.
So a full contribution to the practice of devotional service agrees with you. Am I understanding correctly?
Yes.
You're feeling happy.
Yes, I'm feeling very.
Oh, that's good. Let's hear from Padma Malini over in the UK. How's things out there out in the country?
They are well.
Yeah.
They are well. There's a lot of space. It's a lot of fresh air. So it's very nice. It's very nice, very conducive to look after ourselves more and things like that.
That's good. I think we should all come out and visit you there.
It's a bit quiet. We are a bit away from the devotees, but with the pandemic now, we can't go to see people. Here in England, it's a bit complicated the way things are, so
yeah,
we have to keep our distance a little bit.
Well, thank you for sharing.
But we enjoy coming here and watching this with you, to be together here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Give our best to Nitai Kripa Prabhu. And I like what you said about it being complicated. I think there's maybe a mistaken idea that people in the world have to some degree, and that is that the world wasn't complicated before COVID, and then it won't be complicated after COVID. The world is complicated, period. Because as Krishna says, manakshashchan indriyani prakriti-stani karshati, we're grappling very hard with the mind. And Prahlad Maharaj says, there's an entity that's complicating things. Actually, it's my identification with the mind that complicates. And even in so-called great times, the mind can turn it into a hell. And if one's mind is controlled, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you can make the mind your friend by the process of yoga. And if you think of Krishna, then there's no problem. If you think of Lord Chaitanya, then automatically life becomes auspicious. And the way to think of Lord Chaitanya is to chant Hare Krishna and spread the Sankirtan movement. We're finding that we're floating above the COVID complication because of the fact that we're absorbed in Sankirtan. There's no pain in that. There's no suffering in the Sankirtan flow. There's no anxiety, except for spiritual anxiety, but it negates the anxiety of the material world. It cancels it out. It's like those Bose headsets. They cancel the noise from the outside. So the Sankirtan anxiety cancels out. It's opposite anxiety. It cancels out material anxiety. And it actually makes our hearts happy. Like, don't you all just feel so happy right now because of the yajna? We did the whole Bhagavad Gita. We've been just giving ourselves to Sankirtan. And boy, other than the fact that, we're concerned about finding a new way to give books to people and the holy names and prasadam, we don't have really a care in the world, even though the world goes on. Isn't that true? Apara Gaurangi, tell us why that is. Why is it that we're all feeling so happy?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Please
Hare
accept my
Krishna.
these messages. Maharaj, we're feeling happy because we're connected to Krishna, and Krishna is the source of all happiness. So there's no way we can be sad if we connect ourselves to Krishna and connect others with Krishna.
I like that answer a lot. It reminds me of the verse Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Haya Andakara. That verse Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to Sanatan Goswami. Do you know that one, Aparagurangi?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Can you say more about that one?
So it said that Krishna is like a sun, and where there is sun, and there cannot be darkness. So Maya is compared to darkness. So we cannot have the presence of Maya if we have presence of Krishna. So.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's such a commonsensical example that Lord Chaitanya gives, that if you're in the sunshine, then there's no darkness. And it's just so simple. Manmana bhavamad bhakto, become my devotee, think of me. And if you do that, then there's no darkness, there's no ignorance in life, and there's no anxiety. And the way to do it is to chant Hare Krishna, the practical way, because, okay, I can't think of Krishna because my mind has so much momentum going towards the illusory images of the material world. So what do? Physically start chanting Hare Krishna, make the sound vibration and let it go into your ear, and then keep doing it. What do you think of this theory, Avantika?
I like it. I agree.
What do you like about it? What are you agreeing to?
I think it's very practical.
How do you find, can you give any instances in your life where how it's practically applied? You're a busy person. You've got SATs, you've got homework, you've got entrepreneurial clubs that you run, plus you're doing all your services. And so how do you practically apply it in your life? What does it feel like?
I think it's like very relieving, and definitely probably like yeah, I just think it's a very like good addition to have in general, and I think it's really important to practice daily.
So when you do that, when you have your daily practice, you find it to be a kind of relief?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a nice step away from everything else, and it's nice to like take time to step back and take a pause.
Nice. It's good to have that a strong reason to do it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, let's look at the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're taking up where we left off before. And in this verse, Upete Pati Sundari Tatibir Abir Abhyarchitam. Smitangura Karambitar Natad Apanga Bangi Shatai, Apanga Bangi, Smita Ankura Karambitai, intermingled with the sprouts of gentle smiles, Natat dancing, Apanga Bangi Shatai. Apanga means of glances, Bangi Shatai, with 100 manners. Stana Stavaka, the multitude of breasts. Sancharat, wandering about, Nayana of the two eyes. Chancharika, like bees. Anshalam, whose corners, Vraje in Vraja. Vijayinam, coming, Bhaje, worship. Vipina Deshata, from the forest, Keshavam. We landed on a very esoteric verse. Let's read the translation. I worship Lord Keshava coming back from the forest of Vraj. He is worshipped by the gopis who mount the roofs of their palaces and meet him on the paths with 100 manners of dancing glances and gentle smiles. The corners of his eyes wander like large black beads around the gopis' breasts. This statement appears in the Keshavashtaka of the Stavamala, compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami, 197. There is another natural symptom of the gopis' love that shows it to be without a trace of lust. The love of the gopis nourishes the sweetness of Lord Krishna, That sweetness in turn increases their love, for they are greatly satisfied. The happiness of the abode of love is in the happiness of the object of that love. This is not a relationship of desire for personal gratification. Whenever there is unselfish love, that is its style. The reservoir of love derives pleasure when the lovable object is pleased. When the pleasure of love interferes with the service of Lord Krishna, the devotee becomes angry towards such ecstasy. This is a very important point. And this whole section is really giving a description of the difference between lust and love. As we heard earlier, there's a categorical difference between the two, although to the untrained eye, it may look like the same thing. And to those who are unacquainted with the spiritual science, one may say, well, lust leads to suffering and attachment. Therefore, we'll negate lust altogether by negating the senses and negating personality. This is a mistake. This doesn't lead to actual satisfaction, nor is it a sustainable position. However, there is a way in which the natural tendency that each one of us has to love can be reposed in the perfect object of love where it is perfectly reciprocated. However, the nature of that love and its very definition means that one is concerned with the pleasure of the object of one's love, not with one's own satisfaction. Okay, translation. Whenever there is unselfish love, that is its style. The reservoir of love derives pleasure when the lovable object is pleased. When the pleasure of love interferes with the service of Lord Krishna, the devotee becomes angry towards such ecstasy. I'm going to read that again because it's such an important point. Whenever there is unselfish love, that is its style. The reservoir of love derives pleasure when the lovable object is pleased. When the pleasure of love interferes with the service of Lord Krishna, the devotee becomes angry towards such ecstasy. Here's the purport. As mentioned above, the gopis are the predominated lovers, and Sri Krishna is the predominator, the beloved. The love of the predominated nourishes the love of the predominator. The gopis had no desire for selfish enjoyment. Their feeling of happiness was indirect, for it was dependent on the pleasure of Krishna. Causeless love of Godhead is always so. Such pure love is possible only when the predominated is made happy by the happiness of the predominator. Such unadulterated love is exemplified when the lover deprecates her happiness, if it hinders her from discharging her service. So regarding the first part, there's Ashlishava paravatam pinashtumam adarshanam marmahatam korotuva itatatava bitatu lampato pranata tastus evana para gallery. There's a way that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Shikshashtakam says that whether adarshanam, whether you're present or adarshanam, you don't give me your audience, or if you shun me. That is, she's talking, this is actually an esoteric verse, but it's talking in terms of Radharani's relationship with Krishna. If Krishna appears to be going with some other lover, then the feeling is, if it's giving Krishna pleasure, then that's my pleasure. Not that it's self-centered, that it has to be about me. Of course, we hear in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita where there are sections where Srimati Radharani puts herself forward because she knows that Krishna can only be happy with her. So in her apparent self-centeredness, putting herself forward, it's actually for Krishna's pleasure because she knows that Krishna can only be happy with her. So the point here is that in this very natural, loving affection that the devotees have for Krishna, it's devoid of false ego, that I have to be satisfied by this relationship. And in satisfying Krishna, one naturally becomes satisfied because he's Atmanam Akilatmanam. He's the soul of our soul. He's the root of our existence. And therefore, in the Gita, Krishna says, Bhoktaram Jagatapasam. I'm the supreme enjoyer. This is startling to those who are addicted to the idea that I have to satisfy my individual senses and mind in order to become happy. I have my own tiny little universe that is contained within my mind. And that universe includes every endeavor to make myself comfortable and happy in this world. However, we notice that sadhus, those who are practicing sadhana to come to the perfection, sadhya, they're willing to go outside their comfort zone. Why? Because they understand this principle, that if I please Krishna's senses, even though my senses may be saying, hey, what about me? Then I actually become satisfied. To that end, Prahlad Maharaj says in the seventh canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that we are like little reflections of Krishna. We're his expansions. And he compares it to one looking at the reflection of one's image in a mirror. And so now I'm looking in the mirror and I'm decorating my face, putting on tilak. So if my face becomes decorated, then the reflection in the mirror is also decorated, correct? Say yes. So similarly, he says, when we decorate Krishna, for instance, just to take a very commonsensical example, if you put yourself out to take care of the deity, you get a beautiful dress and you find out, oh, I like this jewelry for Krishna. I like this kind of cup he's going to use, and here's some nice shoes for him. Why is it so satisfying? You're dressing somebody else. And the reason is because we're like his reflections. When we decorate Krishna, then we ourselves become decorated. Your heart becomes decorated. Your consciousness becomes decorated. And this is the secret that people in the material world have forgotten. And just like a bird slamming its head over and over again into a reflection of its image in the window, and not knowing that, oh, I'm hitting the wrong mark. The living entities in the material world don't know this principle. They've forgotten their origin. They've forgotten the cause of their good fortune, and they've forgotten how to become happy. So this example in the spiritual world, what is it like in the spiritual world? It's the consciousness that we examine. And the consciousness is everyone wants to please Krishna because and it's not a because, that's why it's called a haituki. They're not even saying, I'm doing this because I know by satisfying Krishna, I'll become happy. They're naturally satisfying him because because they're fully invested in love for him. It's spontaneous. For those who are practicing devotional service and are contending with the mind and the senses, understanding that the principle that by pleasing Krishna, all become pleased. This is a starting point. The mind wants to be convinced. Well, what's in this for me? What is in it for me? The mind wants to know. Why should I serve somebody else? Why shouldn't I serve myself? This is the law of the jungle. Jivo jiva sajivanam is mentioned in Bhashaunika early on in the Bhagavatam. Ahastani sahastanam aparani chatushvadam palguni tatra mahatam jivo jiva sajivanam. It's the general rule that those who have more dominance because they have an extra pair of hands or legs or they're stronger than the others, then jivo jivasya jivanam. The other ones become their food. That's the opposite. The material world, everyone's trying to feed on everybody else and dominate everyone else. But in the spiritual world, everyone recognizes the supreme dominant, and they only want to please him. And that works. The material world doesn't work out for us. We become victimized by that energy of competition in the material world. So let's see if there's any reflections on this principle or any questions to expand the conversation.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I actually had a question. So
Okay.
you were mentioning about how Prahlad Maharaj is saying that taking, like, serving Krishna is like taking care of ourselves, like with the whole mirror analogy. But I wanted to ask how we can stay motivated if because we don't always see the same reciprocation we would see if we're serving like another person, because Krishna is like farther away.
Well, let's examine that for a minute, Avantika. I mean, do we always get the kind of reciprocation from serving other people that we were hoping to? Are there cases in the material world where you go out of your way? I'm talking about in the material world. You go out of your way to serve somebody, and then it turns out that they didn't appreciate it or they weren't able to reciprocate. I was thinking about this recently, that oftentimes I'm expecting that someone will notice what I'm doing, but I'm thinking, like, even if they do, they may not have the capacity to appreciate it. Because what if somebody has a pinch of matsara, of envy? What if I have a pinch of envy towards somebody and they do something wonderful, and then I'm kind of like, it's not so easy to appreciate. It's not so easy to appreciate them because that envy gets in the way. And I'm thinking, like, God, if I appreciate him, it'll make them look better and me look worse. Right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about it in Amara Jivana, the mood in the material world. And oftentimes, like Prabhupada mentions, he's talking in a lecture in New York City. There's a devotee, a woman named Mrs. Sharma, and she wants to, she's been coming and listening. She became very enlivened. And so then she wanted to do full-time service. You know, she broke through in her heart. She said, that's it, I want to serve. So she went to her family and said, this is what I want to do. And they said, no, you can't go. And so Prabhupada points out she was elderly. She'd served them, her family members, her whole life. But then when she wanted to come and serve Krishna, then they were like, no, you haven't served us enough. And then he quoted, Kamadinam katina katita palita durnideshas tesham jata mayina karuna natrapano pashanti. He says, does the author of this verse, for how long and how many ways have I served the bad masters of my senses? They never gave me time off. They never appreciated my service. And they never gave me mercy. So I'm not going to serve them anymore. So I've noticed that oftentimes the service that one might give, that I've given in the material world, even if people are sincere, it's very difficult for them to reciprocate it. Whereas with Krishna, in the Gita, Krishna says, Neha bikramanashosti pratyavayona vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. Even if you do this much service for me, let's see if I can make it small enough. Even if you do that much, swalpam apyasya dharmasya, I appreciate it. I notice it. It never goes in vain. He tells Arjuna in the 6th chapter of the Gita, as somebody does a little something, you get to keep that. It continues. What to speak of these other verses where he says, Apichet sudaracharo bhajite mamananya bhak sadureva samantavya samyak vyavasitohisa. If somebody's my devotee and they're trying and they're sincere, even if they become somehow their worldliness comes out and they do it wrong, or they get somehow sidetracked. He said, still, you have to consider them saintly. He says saintly people because they're trying in devotional service. So his heart is so appreciative of any tiny little thing that we do. But let's revisit your question, because I may have gone off on a tangent. Just restate it one more time, just to make sure.
I was just asking how we can stay motivated to serve if Krishna's reciprocation isn't as tangible.
Okay, let's look at the word tangible and see what you mean by that. If his reciprocation isn't tangible, and tangible means perceptible by touch. And where does it come from? Can you look up the etymology? Oh, it also means clear, definite, real.
It's from late Latin tangere, to touch, and then it like got intertwined with French tangibilis, and then it became tangible.
Okay. So what do we do if we're serving and we don't really feel that Krishna's touch, that, did he really reciprocate? Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, can be an interim period where we may not at first feel his full touch. And in those cases, we may have to sustain ourselves as much as possible by taking help from the scriptural references that I mentioned, where Krishna is saying these things. If we can develop some faith that, okay, if Krishna is saying it in the Bhagavad Gita, it's meant for me, and that it must be there somewhere. And so I haven't felt it directly yet, but I have confidence that it will come. Now, there's a great advantage in sticking to the process, or any process for that matter, as long as it's a worthy process, for a longer period of time. Because what many devotees perceive over time is that they didn't recognize Krishna's touch in their life, his reciprocation at first. They thought it was something else. And then after giving some time, it becomes more clarified. Oh, that was Krishna's arrangement. I mean, Prabhupada himself talks about the way that, quote unquote, Krishna dismantled his business. He dismantled it. And somebody might think, oh, that doesn't seem like Krishna's reciprocating with me. I'm really trying hard to do some service for him. I had this plan. I was going to make money. He took away all my money. I'm like, what is this? And Prabhupada even said after he had given up his home life, he got severely injured by a cow with horns. You have to stay away from the cow. You have to be really careful. If you're just walking on the parikram path and you go, oh, nice cow, and you come too close to the horns, they can flip their head really hard. I saw it right in front of the ashram one day. I was just standing out there chanting, and I saw a man get too close, and a cow was standing right there with long horns, and she just swung her head and smacked him right in the stomach. He was injured, and that happened to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada says in his talk, what is this? I just gave up everything in Krishna. What is this? So it may not be apparent at first. Therefore, we have to be fortified by good association and also by hearing from the Shastra. But in course of time, and then Prabhupada, obviously he's giving us this perspective by pointing back to his own life. Then he says, then I saw Krishna was giving me everything. It's like if you take something out of somebody's hand to replace it with something more valuable. At first, they might be thinking, what are you doing? Why are you taking this out of my hand? This is mine. And then when he puts back the real thing, then you say, okay, in retrospect, I see. I've quoted even mundane examples previously. One that really stuck out to me was with Steve Jobs and his commencement speech at Stanford. Did you ever hear that? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely worth listening to. He talks about the three. You've heard it, Chitralekha Saki? There's several points there. How did it strike you?
I just felt that Krishna's presence is very tangible at those moments.
Yes. And in his talk, right, he mentions the three most important times in his life. I'm talking about Steve Jobs when he felt the closest to kind of self-actualization, and they were all times when you might argue, like someone might say, well, this is the worst thing that ever happened. In fact, it was for him. The first thing was that he got kicked out of his own company. You know, you start a company, it becomes world famous, and then somebody else comes in and muscles you out. That's what happened to him. Of course, he probably deserved it, according to what people said, the way he acted, like his attitude and everything. But nonetheless, when he was kicked out, then he felt like, oh, this is horrible. My life's over. But it turned out to be a learning point for him. When he got out of it, he said, what got me here in the first place? I wanted to be creative. I wanted to do something to change the world. I wanted to do so. Why did I go back to that? So when we're looking for what is tangible, what is the tangible touch in our lives, we can take help from hearing from others who have gone through various points in their life when they couldn't recognize Krishna's touch. That's one point. And another point is that if you stick long enough, the law of large numbers, right? The longer you do an experiment, the more prolonged the experiment is, the more likely you are to come to the actual result. Flipping a coin, you can do it twice and say, it's not 50-50, it landed heads twice. But if you flip it 10,000 times, you're going to come closer to the average mean. So, this point of long practice of devotional service in a lifetime, if you hang in there, no matter what happens, you'll be able to look back and say, oh, yes, that was Krishna's special mercy on me that this and this that happened. So let me see if I can encapsulate what you're supposed to do. One is, hear from others who have maturity. Maturity comes through going through many things in life. Like a mature sea captain has gone across the ocean many times, got the tip of his finger cut off, and in the voyage has been lost a couple times, and then somehow or other, using triangulation with the North Star, found the path again. And all these things add up. So that's helpful. Association. That's why we take association with those who are kind of, they're battle worn. They've been there before, and they've felt it, and you can feel it in them also. That's very helpful. And then also developing a trust in the Shastra. Like, use your intelligence to understand where real knowledge and inspiration comes from. And for instance, in the beginning of the Ishopanishad, Prabhupada talks about reliable ways to understand who you are, where you come from, what's the purpose of life. And the most reasonable of those is through Shastra Pramanam, hearing from a superior authority. And if you can lead your mind to this point of understanding that, yes, the Shastra is the authority, and it's like, I'll just depend on what it says, even though I can't see right now, then you can take that as the guide to pull you through the times when you don't tangibly feel Krishna's touch in your life. If I think of more things, I'll say them about that, but those are a couple for right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a very practical and important question that you asked.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances, all goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Sadhu.
So referring to Vantika's question about how the Lord reciprocates, does your karma from like your past life influence, when how the Lord will reciprocate and when the Lord will reciprocate?
Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajan. Of course, when we perform devotional service, Krishna is taking away our karma. However, there's a way in which, as described in Tatenu Kampam Susamikshimanu Bunjana Evatma Kritam Vipakam, Hridvagvapur Vidadam Namaste Jiveta Yomukti Pade Sadaya Bhak, that the devotee takes it that I created my own karma and therefore I'm suffering the results of that. However, he or she is aware of the fact that Krishna is minimizing that to turn it into just enough of a lesson so that I can become Krishna conscious. Let's look at that purport. It's such a nuanced purport written by the servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. One of my favorite purports in Srila Prabhupada's books. So I already recited the Sanskrit and then the English very literally. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Okay, tune in really strongly on this purport because it may change your life. Okay? Yes?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes.
Okay. Srila Sridhar Swami explains in his commentary that just as a legitimate son has to simply remain alive to gain an inheritance from his father, one who simply remains alive in Krishna consciousness, following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, automatically becomes eligible to receive the mercy of the personality of Godhead. In other words, he will be promoted to the kingdom of God. Hari Bol! The word susamikshamana indicates that a devotee earnestly awaits the mercy of the Supreme Lord even while suffering the painful effects of previous sinful activities. Lord Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that a devotee who fully surrenders unto him is no longer liable to suffer the reactions of his previous karma. However, because in his mind, a devotee may still maintain the remnants of his previous sinful mentality, the Lord removes the last vestiges of the enjoying spirit by giving his devotee punishments that may sometimes resemble sinful reactions. The purpose of the entire creation of God is to rectify the living entity's tendency to enjoy without the Lord. And therefore, the particular punishment given for a sinful activity is specifically designed to curtail the mentality that produced the activity. Although a devotee has surrendered to the Lord's devotional service until he is completely perfect in Krishna consciousness, he may maintain a slight inclination to enjoy the false happiness of this world. The Lord therefore creates a particular situation to eradicate this remaining enjoying spirit. This unhappiness suffered by a sincere devotee is not technically a karmic reaction. It is rather the Lord's special mercy for inducing his devotee to completely let go of the material world and return home back to Godhead. A sincere devotee earnestly desires to go back to the Lord's abode. Therefore, he willingly accepts the Lord's merciful punishment and continues offering respects and obeisances to the Lord with his heart, words, and body. Such a bona fide servant of the Lord, considering all hardship a small price to pay for gaining the personal association of the Lord, certainly becomes a legitimate son of God, as indicated here by the words Dayabhak. Just as one cannot approach the sun without becoming fire, one cannot approach the Supreme Pure, Lord Krishna, without undergoing a rigid purificatory process, which may appear like suffering, but which is in fact a curative treatment administered by the personal hand of the Lord. Sadhu, did that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhu, it answered it perfectly.
Okay. So you can also look now in the first canto, 5th chapter of the Bhagavatam. Mukunda Sevan. Let's see. Scroll down. Keep scrolling slowly. Keep going. Stop. 19. This is a little further evidence for you regarding this point.
Okay, Prabhu.
Navajano jatu katanshana vrajen mukunda sevyan yavadanga sangsratim smanan mukundang rupaguhanam punar vihatamichenna rasagraho jana. My dear Vyasa, Narada speaking, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes falls down somehow or other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like others, fruit of activities, fruit of workers, etc. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again. Purport: a devotee of the Lord automatically becomes uninterested in the enchantment of material existence because he is a rasagraha, or one who has tasted the sweetness of the lotus feet of the Lord. There are certainly many instances where devotees of the Lord have fallen down due to uncongenial association, just like fruitive workers who are always prone to degradation. But even though he falls down, a devotee is never to be considered the same as a fallen karmi. A karmi suffers the result of his own fruitive reactions, whereas a devotee is reformed by chastisement directed by the Lord himself. The sufferings of an orphan and the sufferings of a beloved child of a king are not one and the same. An orphan is really poor because he has no one to take care of him. But a beloved son of a rich man, although he appears to be on the same level as the orphan, is always under the vigilance of his capable father. A devotee of the Lord, due to wrong association, sometimes imitates the fruit of workers. The fruit of workers want to lord it over the material world. Similarly, a neophyte devotee foolishly thinks of accumulating some material power in exchange for devotional service. Such foolish devotees are sometimes put into difficulty by the Lord himself. As a special favor, he may remove all material paraphernalia. By such action, the bewildered devotee is forsaken by all friends and relatives, and so he comes to his senses again by the mercy of the Lord and is set right to execute his devotional service. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that such fallen devotees are given a chance to take birth in a family of highly qualified brahmanas or in a rich mercantile family. A devotee in such a position is not as fortunate as one who is chastised by the Lord and put into a position seemingly of helplessness. The devotee who becomes helpless by the will of the Lord is more fortunate than those who are born in good families. The fallen devotees born in a good family may forget the lotus feet of the Lord because they are less fortunate, but the devotee who is put into a forlorn condition is more fortunate because he swiftly returns to the lotus feet of the Lord, thinking himself helpless all around. Pure devotional service is so spiritually relishable that a devotee becomes automatically uninterested in material enjoyment. That is a sign of perfection in progressive devotional service. A pure devotee continuously remembers the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna and does not forget him even for a moment, not even in exchange for all the opulence of the three worlds. Monisha, can you say why that verse was related to the last one? What are the connections?
Well, in the last one, it was in Tate Nukamsum, it was talking about how
You inherit the kingdom of God.
yes, you inherit the kingdom of God, or God, and I think it was, I don't remember the exact sayings, but it was talking about how if you just take to the process of bhakti, then it, like the Lord gives us difficulties to remove, to help us take to this process of Krishna consciousness and remove the enjoyment tendency. And in this verse also, it was talking about how a devotee who is fortunate, because when Krishna can take away all of the material possessions, that's a special favor, and so he regains his senses.
Nice. You rallied there. I could see the rally. Kotukarnava Prabhu, can you say anything more about the relation between those two verses?
Krishna Guru Maharaj. It was very nice. I could see that the relation between two was the orphan and the son of a king. So the orphan, the karmis, the fruity workers, they are like orphans. They are suffering because of their own karma. There's no one to take care of them because they don't take shelter of Lord. On the other hand, devotee, he might be suffering the same or maybe worse than a karmi, but because he is under the protection of Lord, he is protected. He's protected. I mean, so it's a curative treatment. It's not easy to go through that process, but only by association of devotees we can go through that hardships.
I like that very much. You brought up the curative process and how it's not easy. And I think there's a point at which when one's suffering any disease, there's a sense of like, I can somehow or other try to tolerate this, or I can go through the curative process. I mean, have you ever had something where you like, you're afraid to go to take the curative disease because you know it's going to be a little bit of an austerity? So you just like, okay, I'll tolerate it. I mean, a lot of people, they hesitate going to the hospital. Don't they, Bhakta, admit? You're a doctor. People hesitate going to the doctor because like, oh, maybe I'll just tolerate this and not go and take the curative because a curative sounds like difficult or something like that. And so, we may think also, oh, I'll just tolerate the material world and instead of actually taking the cure, which sounds like it's going to be difficult, but actually it's in the beginning it may seem so, but then ultimately we come to the end of all suffering, especially when we're talking about the panacea of Krishna consciousness. That word curative is very important. Let's look it up. Let's see what's in that. Cure and curative, where it comes from. And Narada brings it up later in that chapter as well. If someone can be looking into that while we're looking at this. Read it, please.
Curative, early 15th century, pertaining to curing, having the power to heal, from Old French curative, 15th century, curative, healing, and directly from Latin, curat, past participle stem of curare, to cure, see cure, as a noun, something that has a power to heal, a remedy.
Look under cure, click on cure. What? Oh, it's a tangible. Okay, go ahead, read that.
1300, care, heed, from Latin, cura, care, concern, trouble, with many figurative extensions over time, such as study, administration, office of a parish priest, a mistress, and also means of healing, successful remedial treatment of a disease. Late 14th century from Old Latin, cura, a noun of unknown origin, meaning medical care, is late 14th century. Next ones as well.
Okay, so it's a means of healing. I mean, it's important also, if you're going to take a cure, that you admit that you need it. Oftentimes, if I have some ailment, I just stay in denial, and I don't take the curative. But let's look at the end of the 5th chapter, 1.5. Thank you, 1.533, Apargarungi. 1.533, chikitsitam. This is a word used. We'll see. Chikitsitam means curative. So, amayo yaschaputanam jayate yena suvrata tadeva kyamayam dravyam napunati chikitsitam. What a nice word. Chikitsitam means treated with. O good soul, says Narada, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? Purport, shall I read the purport? Nitai Kripa Prabhu, should I read it? Yes. An expert physician treats his patient with a therapeutic diet. For example, milk preparations sometimes cause disorder of the bowels, but the very same milk converted into curd and mixed with some other remedial ingredients cures such disorders. Similarly, the threefold miseries of material existence cannot be mitigated simply by material activities. Such activities have to be spiritualized, just as by fire, iron is made red hot, and thereby the action of fire begins. Similarly, the material conception of a thing is at once changed as soon as it is put into the service of the Lord. That is the secret of spiritual success. We should not try to lord over the material nature, nor should we reject material things. The best way to make the best use of a bad bargain is to use everything in relation with the Supreme Spiritual Being. Everything is an emanation from the Supreme Spirit, and by his inconceivable power, he can convert spirit into matter and matter into spirit. Therefore, material things, so-called, is at once turned into a spiritual force by the great will of the Lord. Ooh, I'm reading it again. Therefore, a material thing, so-called, is at once turned into a spiritual force by the great will of the Lord. One of the amazing lines. The necessary condition for such a change is to employ so-called matter in the service of the spirit. That is the way to treat our material diseases and elevate ourselves to the spiritual plane where there's no misery, no lamentation, and no fear. When everything is thus employed in the service of the Lord, we can experience that there is nothing except the Supreme Brahman. The Vedic mantra that everything is Brahman is thus realized by us. I was just thinking while reading that, Avantika, that in your question about tangibility of the Lord's mercy, how we feel a touch in our lives, can often be experienced vicariously. That is, let's just say that you're taking the trouble, and I hope you're looking that up, to, let's just say you're taking the trouble to give Krishna consciousness to others because you have a modicum of experience yourself that it makes your life joyful, that there's something about it that's otherworldly, that is beneficial to you. So, or, for whatever reason, you're going and giving it to other people. And let's just say in the process of doing that, you notice, that people are suffering inordinately because you have a spiritual lifestyle, and let's say you live in a clean environment, and you also have, some basic spiritual principles that you grew up with. So, you're really, your lifestyle is around sattvaguna, the way you eat, the way you live, and everything. But let's just say you're going door to door and you look in somebody else's place and you say, oh my God, how do they survive in there? Have you ever had that experience? Ever gone to somebody's house and they have like 20 cats in their house and the whole place smells like cat urine or something like that? I mean, and you go like, oh my God, how do people live like that? Possible, yes. And then have you ever had the experience where you offer Krishna consciousness to someone and they are tangibly moved by it? In other words, that you watch through their eyes, through their experience, the transformation, and then you realize, oh, how this relates to me. I've given this example many times, but it applies here. So forgive me for perhaps belaboring it. But once in North Carolina, when we were going door to door on a very hot day, I remember it was 108 degrees every day. And we were going door to door with a group, and we met a gentleman who was physically impaired, and he had a caretaker with him. It was hard for him to speak, actually, but he was noticeably enthusiastic about getting the books. His caretaker was noticeably averse to the books and wanted him not to have it or association. However, I mean, it's an interesting dynamic because ultimately he was the master of the house, but she was kind of, in some sense, had some, or in her mind, some sway over him because she was a little bit older than he was. And at the same time, it was like she was caring for him. So what happened was he was so demonstratively attached to the books that she couldn't deny it. And he wouldn't give in to her aversion. And then he even went as far as to give a donation, which was a great endeavor for him because, as I said, he was physically impaired. And she was against it, but he obviously did it against her wishes. And then, as you know, in the sequence of take the book, give a donation, then can you chant Hare Krishna? Do you believe in the power of prayer? He went out of his way to chant the Mahamantra, straining at every sinew in his neck and whatever he could to say the syllables. And he was so attentive and sincerely attached to following what we were doing that when I turned around after the door closed, I saw some of the devotees had tears in their eyes, and I asked them, like, what just happened here? And one of them said to me, and others agreed, that I just saw what I wish for myself. I wish I had that kind of desire for these books. And I wish I had that kind of intensity of desire to chant Hare Krishna. He was like a person in the desert without a drop of water. And then someone brought, a canteen and said, here, drink, fresh, clear water. And when the need is stronger. So I saw it in the devotees. I felt it myself that, oh, the taste is there because I see it in others. Did you look up the word vicarious?
Yes.
Can I hear it, please?
Yeah. Vicariously means in a way that is experienced in the imagination through the actions of another person.
Yeah. So that would apply there. And so sometimes that there you can see Krishna's mercy more clearly. You see it in other people. It's tangible in them. And then it comes, you take it from there. It's like, wow, I see the effect on someone else. And therefore I could appreciate it. I may think of more things, but that's a second one you can add on to the list. Okay, let's see where we are now. Reflections, questions. Radha Kripa Prabhu.
Ms. Maharaj, I just wanted to share something I maybe appropriate to share, but it's not that I did a great job. But, back in India, when I typically used to visit pretty often, recently, there is one girl who does a lot of tuition work. So I usually interact with the younger kids who are there, usually love to communicate and teach. I mean, the intention was to, instill some Krishna consciousness in them. But what happened, I just wanted to share that I asked all of them, like 15 or 20 mix of boys and girls, write something about themselves because they're not good in English. So they gave me, at the end of the day, they wrote something. Surprisingly, one girl who was the smartest in the group, she was very quiet. When I read her about herself, it just blew my mind completely. I mean, what she wrote, she has some tendencies which is not a good for a person who has such a serious negative thoughts. And she was totally worried about single mark which she lose, because she will lose otherwise in second position or first. And then, after I read that one, I couldn't actually sleep next night. I was just wondering, like, my goodness, if I would have not communicated with this girl, she would have ended up somewhere else. So I, took 2 days to, to communicate with her and being more friendly manner. And then after a week, when I left India for US, at the time I asked her, what do you think right now? And she mentioned that, the thing is gone. It's completely gone. She said, it doesn't matter in a bigger scheme of the things, number one or number two. And then more importantly, the negative thoughts which she had in her head, actually completely, she said, it's eradicated, it doesn't exist. So when, as you're sharing the people's pain, the suffering, when you see some people are so, they may not be forthcoming, when you interact and you dig little down, and then you find out, how much a tiny bit of our efforts impacted, I feel that was far more fulfilling than, achieving a Nobel Prize, honestly. So that's very satisfying. And I see that's where how, the Krishna's words, smaller words, when we pass it on with a sincere intention, see the impact and changes in others. And that motivates me to do a little bit better in my own little endeavor, whatever we do it. I just thought to share, just to connect that how God's individual hands helps, and you see the changes in the people, that makes you, I feel, more satisfied than anything else.
Yeah, and connected to the point that you can see the effectiveness of it.
Yep.
So it may give you more faith, and seeing it in others, maybe in yourself you don't see. Yeah. Prabhupada mentions in the light of the Bhagavat that those who practice the Chaturmasya, they don't know exactly how they're being affected by it, because they're in the same context. They stay in one room, basically, in one compound, one area for 4 months to do their practices. And they don't see the effect of it, he said, until they go out again into the world and interact in a larger context. In fact, he even says in that section that our human life is a Chaturmasya-like existence. We may not see the full effect of the devotional service we're practicing now until we leave our bodies.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I just wanted to, when you were talking about the person that had disability and he was trying to chant, I remembered one of the kids that I was working with, and he couldn't speak anything. And I did a class on the Mahamantra in the class. And he was using a stylus with his mouth, and he would actually use an iPad. And I programmed some things for him so he can talk. So he told me that since he cannot say, he was going to read it from the screen, like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So he kept doing that. And then he came back to me the next day and he told me, can you tell me more about, he knows how to type, with his mouth, uses a stylus, very smart. And then he had a traumatic brain injury and he ended up, as one of my patients. And I just told him that, so what do you want? He said, tell me more about KRSNA, he typed. So I gave him Veda base. And every time in the class that he had free time, he would be reading in Veda base. Unfortunately, recently he passed away. So I just want prayers for him.
We offer our sincerest prayers for this wonderful person who was fascinated by KRSNA. That's an amazing story. Can you tell me more about KRSNA and then becoming absorbed in the Veda base? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so continuing this theme and thread, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, we hear from Gopal Kumar. He's speaking to his student, his disciple, who he has been deputed to come and rescue from the material world. And as he's introducing himself, he says that the best way, he said, although Vaishnavas are disinclined to speak about themselves and their own stories, he said the best way to share the lessons of Krishna consciousness is through telling one story, and therefore I'm obliged to do so. And then he begins to tell his own story and what he went through and the various trials that he overcame. And so, going back to this point, how has it become tangible? Oftentimes when we hear it from others and in their stories of what happened and how they went through periods of time, perhaps when it wasn't tangible. And then you hear from others, okay, I went through this dry period or whatever it is, and then then it became fully tangible. This can be very instructive for helping us, because oftentimes, we look at others as like, does it work for them? I mean, after all, what are all these vaccine trials about? You get 30,000 people together and you give them each a vaccine, and then you say, like, did it work for you? And they write it down. It's a double-blind study. And then when they come out into the world and say, yeah, this works, we say, how do you know it works? Well, because we tried it on 30,000 people over 6 months. And therefore, and we wrote it down. It worked 94% of the time. And so, why do people have faith in taking it? Well, number one, they heard it worked on 94% of 30,000 people over 6 months. And secondly, then you've got people going on television and they'll say, hi, my name is Joe Schmo, and I'm the leader of I'm the leader of the world, and here I'm about to get my vaccine because I believe it. And then they get the vaccine, right? My apologies if there are any anti-vaxxers listening today for the example. It's just an example. Don't get upset. The fact is that, when people see that, then they'll say, oh, okay, it worked for 30,000 people 94% of the time. And also, look, there's leading people. Yad yada charati shreshtas tatarevi charojana. They're taking it. Therefore, okay, it seems tangible, even though I don't know yet whether it's tangible or not, whether it actually has a direct effect on my life or not, but I see it on others. So oftentimes that's the case, that we take it from that side. Bhakta, admit, as from a physician's point of view, are these analogies working for you?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Yes, definitely. I feel there are, like, in this process, like, I can compare with Krishna consciousness as well, like the medicine field, like they're early adopters. Like I am one of the person who has participated in one of these vaccine trials, and we think about them that, okay, there was a general opposition that why are you doing this? And as a member of the science community, academic science community, I feel obliged I should be helping in some way or the other, because this pandemic has caused such a chaos around the world with that, right? And then similarly, and then just the analogy you gave that, yes, like how others would believe in it, in terms of it works for them, there is a very high chance and likelihood that it will work for me. Similarly, the Krishna consciousness is contagious and infectious, right? In the same way, if it works for one and we distribute the fruits of that and the knowledge, then it would work for others as well. So it's a beautiful analogy. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, I like it. You're extending it even more. And just think, if somebody comes to Bhakta Admit, as to take his help as a physician, he's like, well, what do you think about the vaccine? He says, well, I took it as part of the trial. And, for us to teach Krishna consciousness also, we have to take it ourselves. And if we're taking it and also applying it, for instance, there are going to be ups and downs in life. And okay, did you apply it the way it's said on the box? In the Gita, that's the box. And there's directions on there. It's like, did you follow it? And so those who actually take the medicine and then they follow the directions, then somebody comes to them, they can be an actual physician. They can give physicians advice because they followed it. If it becomes too theoretical, then it's not so powerful. But you don't have to say much if you've already done it yourself and you've gone through it. It speaks volumes. Thank you, Bhakti Amit. That was great. Does that mean that you're already done then? You don't have to take the inoculation because you were in the trial? Or is it conclusive that way?
No, I participated in another trial. That
I see.
vaccine is not approved yet.
Okay, a different one.
A different one, right?
But is it related to this particular pandemic?
Yes, it is with
Okay.
COVID-19, but another company, which
I
is
see.
not FDA approved. They are doing their 60,000 patient study, as you
Okay.
mentioned.
All right. Well, good to know. That was helpful in fleshing out the analogy.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take one more from the board here, since you all went to so much trouble to put these up here. Okay, so here we have a question written from Struggling Soul. Why is chanting like happiness in the mode of goodness, where there is more joy when I keep the bead down up on completion of my rounds than during actual process of chanting? Why is chanting, why is it? Oh, but that's because, okay, so you're asking, why are you not getting a taste when you're chanting, but afterwards you feel it? Is that true? Struggling soul? That's because well, first of all, you should take note of the fact that you feel better afterwards, because most things in this world, you try them and there's some repercussion afterwards. Even the good things that you do, there are no bad side effects from chanting Hare Krishna. But the other point is just that in the beginning of chanting, we have a natural aversion for the details about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they seem odious to us. Look it up. They appear to be odious because, and I hate to put this so bluntly, but living entities in conditioned state feel I'm the most important one in the room. I'm the most important one. This is a sense, a misguided sense that a soul, by misusing independence, can then be become ensconced in. The fact is, Krishna is the most important person in every room. Doesn't matter which room you're in, he's always the most important. It doesn't matter which universe you're in, he's the most important. And if you examine the psychology of a child, the child feels his or her survival depends on being the most important one in the room. And we can ask any of the mothers here, what it's like to be around a child all the time. And at least this is my observation, the child generally is fully dependent on getting this constant reassurance that, yes, you're the most important person in the world. You're laughing, Sukeshri. Is there any, it's not in a pejorative sense. I'm not saying that psychological support shouldn't be there, but I've seen one of my observations, toddler is in the room, mother gets on the phone, and then the child, even though is in another room, goes nuts because the child senses, oh, my mother's not, there fully attentive, even though she's in the other room, she's not giving full importance to me.
Yes, Prabhu. I was thinking about the same thing. All kids, when they're very young, they just need the complete attention of the mom just on the child. Even if there's another child or a husband or phone or whatever, they will keep coming and touching your face and making sure you're looking at them and listening to what they're saying.
Yeah, and so that persists even into our adulthood to some degree, to one degree or another. I mean, obviously, we've seen with some even public figures, it carries right off into adulthood. Or, you know, anyone else. It's just the natural tendency in the material world to be self-centered and to look at me. And actually, it's a huge burden because I'm not the most important person. That's why Mahaprabhu stressed so much. Try it the other way for a while. Trinadapi sunichena. He said, try this on for size. Don't be the most important person in the room. Just see how it goes for you. Try it out. Feel yourself lowly for a change and see if that doesn't work better for you, little jiva. And try giving importance to others rather than to yourself all the time. Yes, but me. Constantly. Yeah, but I thought of that first, before they thought. I thought of it before they did. Like, it's always coming back. It's still that childish thing, put your hand over the mouth of the mother on the phone because I'm not getting, but one will find if one gives one's full attention to Krishna and just admits it, the part of Sarvadharman Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja is just admitting, all right, I admit it. Krishna is the most important one in the room. He's the most important one in the room. That's why you're careful when you go before the deities. It's like, it's not all about me. It's Krishna's important. And this is really the point. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru. Just make me the most important person. And so here's my point. I have this lingering sense that I have to be the most important. Why am I chanting somebody else's name? So if you're bored chanting 16 rounds, you're chanting Krishna, 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 and you're like, oh. But if suddenly you're in a crowded room somewhere and you heard somebody saying your name, it's like Deepak, Deepak, Deepak. And then I was like, what? I heard Deepak or Dilip, I heard my name. Somewhere it was over there, in a crowded room, a crowded stadium. Someone said my name, Dilip, and I'm awake. I'm fully attentive because I have this sense I'm the most important person. So this is called ignorance of Krishna being the most important person in the room. And it takes a little while to overcome that. And there's a sweetness one tastes when one admits, okay, Krishna is the most important person in the room. And then there's a reciprocation that's tangible. And you feel like, okay, actually now I like being Krishna's servant. I like making him the most important person in the room. And if one starts to give one's full heart to that, then the chanting becomes sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. And so Rupa Goswami says, Syat Krishna nama charitari sitapta vidya pitopatapta rasanasya narochikanu kintvavarad anudilam kalusaiva jushta swadvi kramad bhavatitad garamula hantri. He says it takes a little while. You got to take the medicine over and over again before it starts to the cure starts to take effect. And when it does, then you'll taste the sweetness and that feeling of aversion to hearing about the specificity of Krishna's glories, his personality, and so forth. It'll start to taste like nectar. But in the beginning, it's like, oh, I don't want to hear that. You just try bringing it up in general circles and people are like, not this God thing again. Get out of here. They'll write it out of the Constitution and make sure like, okay, we're going to have a country here, but nobody bring up the God thing. That's over here. If you guys want to do that, do it on your own time. Everyone's trying to like, get it away from me because it's odious. What does odious mean? Can't hear you.
Highly offensive.
Could somebody read it, please?
Odious is extremely unpleasant or repulsive.
There you have it. Read them and weep. Okay. Well, now we have the opportunity for a Guru Puja. And this is one of the ways in devotional service that we actually turn our attention towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we find a great devotee, and then we offer worship to the great devotee, then it's Sakshadari Tvainastamasta Shastra. We're offering our worship to a person who is representative of the Lord. Sometimes it seems more tangible. And by that, also Krishna reciprocates inordinately because he's pleased when we worship Tadiya, or those things, those people that are most dear to him. So in our Guru Puja, it's not simply a routine or a ritual. We're actually, out of gratitude, out of love for what he's done for us, we're offering our sincere prayers of appreciation and worship. So in the case of Srila Prabhupada, he saved the world, really, and everybody in it, including those who were born into the culture where Krishna was present. He gave it in such a way that it could become practically utilized, and one could be connected to Krishna through practical service and actually have a route back home, back to Godhead. So that's why we offer these prayers. Is Bhakta Janmulis back, or shall we go back to our old means of doing kirtan?
Bhakta Jamulus is back.
Bhakta Janmulis, thank you for coming back. I hope you got a good rest. And now we're going to switch over to our Jamulus bridge. Rama Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namasheshtam. Can you give me a note?
Yeah, that was good.
Namasheshtam manamapi shachiputra mantra sarupam shirupam tasya garjam urupari maturim goshtapatim radha kundam girivaramoho radhika madhavasham prapto yasya pratitakripaya shriguntam litosmi. Hey Guru Gyanadadina Bandho Swarandadata Kuranaika Sindho Vrindavana Sinahita Avatar Siddharada Pranaya Prachara. Hey Dinabandho Kuranaika Sindho Kuru Prasada Mayi Manda Budhe Laksha Parade Bahupapa Gadhe Tatpada Padmestu Matishta Krishna. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and his older brother Sanatana Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radha Kund and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Shri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, You have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore, grace me with your mercy, so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful to us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over 3 worlds. Where's Vaikuntha Nayaka? I didn't see him. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Bandamui Savadana Mate Jahara Prasade Bhai Bhavato Riyaja. Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoy Te. Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoy Te. Padma Vakya Chitte Teko Riya Aikya. Sounds good, Sadhu. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Teko Riya Aikya. Anakori ho mane asha. Anakori ho mane asha. Charane Rati Eshayu Tamagati. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Shri Guru Charane Attachment to the lotus feet of the spiritual master leads to the ultimate destination. Jai prasade pure sarva asha. Jai prasade pure sarva asha. Prasade pure sarva asha. Chakudan dilo jai janme janme prabhu she. Chakudan dilo jai janme janme prabhu she. Gaur Premanande Vyagyan Hre Prakashito. Vyagyan Hre Prakashito. Prema Bhakti Ja Hoite Abhidya Vinasa Jate. Prema Bhakti Ja Hoite Abhidya Vinasa Jate. Dire Gai Jahara Charito. Dire Gai Jahara Charito. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu. Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu. Lokana Lokera Jivana. Lokana Lokera Jivana. Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya De Amore Pada Chaya. Prabhu Koro Doya De Amore Pada Chaya. Ide Jash Kushuk Tribhuvana. Jash Kushik Tribhuvana. Ha ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deho Mune Pada Chaya. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pushtatya Rishatarine Gaura Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Panchatattva Ki Jai Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Haribo, Haribo! Gaura Premanande! Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gaur Premanande Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Fantastic, Sadhu. Blow that horn. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Back home, back to Godhead. Sankirtan ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Haribo! Gaur Nityananda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo! Nambajan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Goloka Vrindavan, Shri Mathura Dham, Shri Dwarka Dham. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Mayapur Dham, 9 islands in Navadvip. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Premanande. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki. Shri Harinam Mahamantra ki. Shri Gaura Nityananda ki. Shri Nam Prabhu ki. Sankirtan Yagya all over the world ki. Gaura Premanande. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Let's hear that note on the bass clarinet. One higher. There. Give it to us, Avanika. There it is. What note is he hitting, Avantika? See, and then he can find his way down.
Vrinda, isn't bass a little different?
It's an F on bass.
Yeah, so it should be an F, I believe.
All right, we'll come up to you. That's he's going.
Oh, you're hitting a D sharp. So can you go half a step upwards?
Let's hear it again. What note is it?
He's hitting a D sharp on. So go a little higher. Can you go one half step upwards?
I don't know how to go like half step.
Okay.
Play a G. I think an F is a G in bass clarinet.
Like the actual note I'm playing is E.
E.
Oh, then it's an F sharp.
F sharp.
F sharp? Yeah. Play that one again. I think that one was.
Itai Gaura Haribo, 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 Itai Gaura Haribo, 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 Itai Gaura Haribo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Stotra Shishimada Bhai Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Papa Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Stotra Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prams Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopina Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavanam Ki Shri Mayapur Navaditam Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to some of the devotees. Shri Dwarashi Ki. And now we have announcements in the ongoing marathon to distribute at least 50,000 books here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley, at least 50,000 Bhagavad Gitas only. I don't know if at least and only go together, but at least 50,000 Bhagavad Gitas and many other assorted books. But let's hear how it's going and how we can participate in the last week or so.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
I think it's going very well, Prabhu. And I've seen in the last week that the books are flying. I see that they're going in Walmarts, they're going in many places. And I know that Kaudukarna Prabhu and team, they've distributed so many Spanish Bhagavad Gitas in the last 2 weeks. And we also are so grateful that devotees have signed up for distributing books to their neighbors. And so far, I'm just giving you the number of the books that devotees signed up for. 1 second. Is Krishna. Devotees signed up for 3,024 Bhagavad Gitas. And they also signed up for 7,000 cookies, and they're almost all distributed so far. So this is a big number, Prabhu.
Hari Hari Bo!
So that brings us to, we only have 14 days left in our marathon, actually 13 days left in our marathon. And we have about 2,500 more Bhagavad Gitas to go in these 2 weeks, in 13 days.
Hari Hari Bo!
I think devotees have not reported their scores yet, but we are hoping that you could report soon so that we can see if the number can go down. But we are requesting, if you have taken books to distribute to the neighbors, you please distribute them and report it yourself so we know that how many books were actually distributed. So this is all an estimate that we have still 2,500 books to go. So we have 2 more weeks. So requesting everyone to try your best to distribute them.
I vow to distribute 10 cases of Bhagavad Gitas this weekend.
Jai. Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. And if anybody wants to share a story or something, because a lot happened in the last week and yesterday, maybe we can take 2 stories if we have something to share.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Mataji, Jai Srila Prabhupada. I want to share one thing. One of my Prabhu's friend is a realtor, and he is a partner of ownership of 2 restaurants. And I approached him on November itself, and he was not sure. He wants to talk with their partners, but he didn't come back. Unfortunately, he went to India for some emergency. He came back, and I showed what we did for one realtor, and I showed a couple of things with the example, and he also liked that, and he also started with 5 cases and he ended up with 10 cases, and he said that he will give more, and he is reaching his friends, his business friends. With that examples and with other scores which I told him, he is very happy and he likes that idea, and he is giving the New Year gift, and he committed 10 cases and he will give more, and he's told that if the time reaches, don't worry, in future also I will help you. I like this idea so much, he told me. I want to share this one. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari Bo!
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat.
So, Prabhuji, there are 2 things I wanted to share. We are having kids calling party. Some of the parents are joining, and some of the kids slowly kids are also joining, and they're calling. So far, Ananda Mataji and Abhay themselves were able to get 25 cases of sponsorships. In last week,
Hari Hari Bo.
So just last week we are doing every day from Wednesday onwards, and we will continue. Today we will have regular with the calling party that we have every Saturday, and then again from Sunday we will have every day. And last week, a lot of kids joined. Avanish, Abhijit, Advait Srinivasan, and they made calls also. So if somebody would like to share experience, please share. And also some of the realtors, one of the realtors that we got this home from, we called after 11 years, and he said he doesn't know about Bhagavad Gita. His name is Alan Feldman. And he said, I haven't heard about Bhagavad Gita, but he said, send me a write-up about Bhagavad Gita. And so Advait said he will send an email, and he said, I will give you an appointment so that you can make your presentation. I'll hear about it. So hopefully this week, Advait is planning to make a presentation to him. And also some of my friends and colleagues have taken from Advait's presentation some of the cases. One thing I want to share, yesterday for the Bhagavad Gita Jayanti, I just texted some of the old Bhagavatam recipients, some old numbers I had. They took Bhagavatam 5 or 6 years back, and I texted them that today is Bhagavad Gita Jayanti, and today while reading the complete Bhagavad Gita, I'll be praying for you, and I remember you that you took the Bhagavatam. So they were very happy to, they very happily responded that thank you for praying for us. And some of them asked if is there anything we can do for Gita Jayanti. So and I immediately texted one of them, whoever asked, and I texted rest of them also, whoever I told that I'm praying for them, that we have a goal of 2 million Bhagavad Gitas. And please help us achieve this goal. You can distribute to your friends, family, neighbors. We can ship to your door. And 4 of them responded back, and they have sponsored the cases, and 3 of them we will be delivering to them. Just wanted to share that.
Haribo.
Please,
well, considering that our goal is establishing the difference between a reality and illusion for the welfare of all, the realtors really can take this up as their life and soul, because they're realtors. They're meant to sell what's real to the world. So I think they finally discovered what their real niche is.
One thing I wanted to share, Prabhuji, that the Alan Feldman, the realtor I was talking to, our realtor for this home, he said that this year we are very fortunate because people are in need of home, and their sales have spiked so much this year. And he was sharing that now everybody wants to stay in the home, and they are going to get a lot of sales have gone, and he was very happy about that. So I was thinking that realtors are really busy and they're doing good business, so they are also willing to give.
It's a huge breakthrough. It's an industry unto itself, the realtors industry all over the world. Please continue to bring it up to the highest levels. Hare Krishna. Way to go, as usual, Kameshwari.
I
Hari
also
Hari.
wanted to share that last week when you made the announcement that you would send books to people who wanted to distribute them, I wrote Malini, and the next day she said, oh, we'll send you a few. So she sent me 3. The very next day I got them, 3 cases in the mail. And then another day or 2 later, I got all the packing materials to give them as gifts on doors. But that was Christmas Eve, and I was going to have family over on Christmas. So because they had been so prompt and encouraging to send them so quickly, I thought, oh, I have to get these out. And so I spent all day, I baked 200 cookies and packed every book with the bookmark, and everything they gave me, it was so perfect and beautiful. And then at about 11:15 that night, I finally finished all the packing. So my roommate drove me around the neighborhood and I just creeped up to doors. I was a little afraid because, you know, there's cameras that come on if you step on people's doorstep, or lights come on, and I was scared. I didn't want to upset anyone. So it was kind of tricky, but it was exciting. So I got them all out that day.
Haribo! You're the opposite of a porch pirate. Porch pirates go around and steal UPS packages and off people's doors, but we do the opposite. We go and put them on their doorstep. Also, we have our own stimulus package. Even though Congress can't get it together to pass another stimulus package here, we have our own. And that is 3 trillion books for everybody. Get them out into the economy as fast as we possibly can and stimulate the spiritual economy.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I just wanted to share something. Malini and myself were out, in our neighborhood in San Jose, Santa Teresa area. And to me, I just felt after 6 months going out, stepping out, of course, with all masks and everything, and then giving it to people, almost 50% of them, were in the garage, or they just opened, or they just came and thanked us. They were very happy. They just, it looks like they were just waiting for, and there were ladies who said, did you freshly bake these cookies? And, what does this book mean? And why is it given to us? And they were very happy. And I just felt I just got my wings back while I was in the field.
Haribo!
So I just wanted to share that.
That's such an important thing to share. It's how eager people are. It's such an important time to offer people this opportunity. I think that very special tension in the air, plus the fact that it's the holiday season, gives us a unique opportunity over the next 2 weeks, all the way to January 7th. It'll definitely have that rarefied atmosphere. So we should really go for it. I love how Subhadra, you cooked, you baked cookies and everything, making them available to everybody. It's every place, every home becomes a Sankirtan depot.
Prabhu, wanted to share one last thing. Oh, go ahead. Somebody wants to share.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Rindama.
Please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna devotee. I would like to share something, as I was also able to do a small service in these challenging times. And I guess I would like to thank Malini Mataji for sharing that enthusiasm and giving me that push to do this service and give me this idea. So I got this idea from, hearing Malini Mataji, making these small gift bags where we put a book, a card, and a prashadam like cookies, and send it out to your neighbors. So I did something similar to that. I made like small gift bags. I made a card. I had each bag had one Bhagavad Gita. I'm not a good baker, but I instead made laddus. So I made prashadam laddus instead, and was able to distribute 2 cases of Bhagavad Gita, and I placed all those gift bags to 48 doors, and all the people responded very positively. They knocked on my door. I get to know them, and they were interested to understand and learn more about the Gita, and they were inquiring where we have ISKCON temples nearby, and what they can do to learn more. So I gave them the address of the Austin temple here, and few people I know was also commuting a lot in Dallas too. So I gave them the information about the Dallas temple. And thanks so much, Mataji, for your strong enthusiasm, which was very infectious, and gave me the push to do service while we are in the mode of lockdown. And thanks so much, Guru Maharaj, for also inspiring to do, give us the inspiration to do more. So that's just one realization or service that I wanted to share.
Haribo! Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes,
So actually, if you could I share something that?
Yes, last one, and then we'll go to JM, who's standing by.
So we actually a few days back, Achyuta Kumar Prabhu and me and my dad, we actually went to the firefighting the fire stations to distribute books, and then we went to about 4, and each one of them took books. And I was thinking that they really can't say no, because when we say that, thank you for all your when you say that thank you for all your services, we're giving a gift as a token of gratitude for you. They really can't say no. And then we did about 39 Trimurti sets. We distributed about 39 Trimurti sets to them, to the fire.
Haribo! I like that, Sadhu Vrindavan. Prabhu, how you told them that it was a reciprocation for the service that they're doing, and how they felt that it was really important to accept it since you offered it like that.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That's all, Prabhu, for now.
Okay. Let's hear from Jai Madhava Prabhu about how Bhakti community is going and what we can do to help.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances, all Shri Prabhupada. Just wanted to give a quick recap of what Bhakti community is and what are some of the latest developments in the community. I'll share my screen. As you know, Bhakti community is an online community primarily catering to newcomers. We have series of programs throughout the week, distilling Bhagavad Gita knowledge as well as practices in a simplified way, which is very apt for newcomers. So whenever you go and distribute books or come in contact with any newcomer when you're giving books, please do also offer Bhakti community, which provides a safe and welcoming community, which is very focused on helping newcomers read the books and make progress. So we do have go to bhakticommunity.com/invite-newcomers. That's the URL. If you go to that URL, you will see a short message, email message, which you can copy paste and send emails to anyone you're going books or come in contact with. Also, a WhatsApp message is also given. You can give that as well to them. So when they join Bhakti community, as I mentioned, they do get all the programs which are part of the community. We also have a public Facebook page where we take snippets or short clips from all the programs we are having, and we share those as wisdom pearls on a weekly basis. For example, this week we have Niharika, who has posted redirect and regulate attention. So it's a very short clip from introducing the 21-day spiritual fitness challenge session we had. It's a very nice clip. Please do share. Right now we have around I think 40 odd shares. If you can please go and like it and share it with your friends and family, they will all benefit. How regulating attention, like the most important asset that we have, helps us make progress in spiritual life. So please do like and share both the Facebook page as well as share this video posted by Niharika. We also have a YouTube channel where all these wisdom clips are also posted. We have 37 subscribers so far. So if you can like and follow Bhakti Community YouTube channel, so at least we have 100 subscribers so that we can get our own custom domain. Right now, as you can see, it's a very generic domain. So that will be also very helpful. So again, facebook.com/Bhakti Community or just search Bhakti Community YouTube channel. I also wanted to share good news that we have now we have 14 Bhakti Community partners. So last week, 2 more partners wanted to sign up for Bhakti Community, both Dallas as well as Sacramento. So we have partners now across US, Canada, and Australia who all are pretty excited to leverage Bhakti Community for their newcomer preaching activity. We do offer stickers, Bhakti Community stickers, bookmarks, which you can hand out whenever you meet a newcomer or we are giving books. We have a new horizontal design now, which becomes easy for anyone to just, even in a small book, they can horizontally paste it. It's coming shortly. We also have bookmarks, which was very helpful. I received very good feedback from the book packing team. What bookmarks, how it's helping now is as a book distributor, when they are going in, Previously, there was some hesitation sometimes, maybe like you're offering book, they are trying to sell something as a book. Sometimes there was some hesitation. But now what they are doing is they are carrying this bookmark. So just introducing Bhakti community and look, it's an online spiritual community where various mantra meditation is being performed. So that becomes their entry point. They show the bookmark and just start the conversation. And as part of the conversation, when they're showing the bookmark and describing the community, they also then bring out books. So that becomes more comfortable even for the people to stop back and maybe see what the bookmark is, nothing like being sold. So that's another new approach which some of the devotees are trying, and they are finding it beneficial. So you can try it out too, so, and see if that helps in starting a conversation with anyone you meet, either at group sankirtan during on the road, or any contact that you can't talk to. So we do have 25,000 bookmarks coming shortly this week. We have Vrunda Mataji, who has been we are so thankful to her. She has been very meticulous, and she has taken complete ownership, keeping track of shipping bookmarks, stickers across all the 14 partners, and closely working with our ISV book packing team and making sure they have all the bookmarks whenever they need as well. So really want to thank her, and do reach out to her. You can email hi@bhakticommunity.com and get the stickers and bookmarks to share with your friends and family. Lastly, I just wanted to share a story. We had the spiritual fitness last program, which happened last Friday. And we were just asked, Vaisesika Prabhu was asking reflections from all the members, participants of corporate people who were, how did spiritual fitness help them throughout the year? What was the reflection, realization, how we can do better for next year? And you can go to bhakticommunity.com Facebook page, and there is that video. It was streamed live, so it's available for public. So if you just scroll down, you can see the topic was 3 spiritual disciplines to transform your life. So most of this is reflection from all the members who are participant. But I do want to share one of them, that how it is helping people tangibly, how it's changing their lives, and how it's helping them make progress and cope up with all the material anxiety that they have. I'll just play the short minute story. Again, she has a lot of personal story. I'm skipping those part. You can play this live and see, but I just want to share what she says in the end, how spiritual fitness itself helped her, and some of the reflection that Vaisesika Prabhu had after that.
I'm grateful for what I've learned in these every Friday coming when I can, because I really need it, and it's really been a lifesaver to me in a lot of ways. So I just wanted to share my gratitude with you and everyone that has been willing to share and be vulnerable, because we work in this corporate world and there's not a lot of that, and we just keep going. And so I can see good in this pandemic because it helped me slow down. I picked up my alto sax after 29 years and started playing music. And now I want to stay home. I want to be home. This is my time to be home and to care for myself and to care for my family. And just really grateful for all I've learned through this. I know I'm not perfect, and I don't always meditate. I don't always get outside, but these classes have helped remind me that it's so important to do those things. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, that's very meaningful and touching for me. Thank you very much for sharing that. And it's so interesting how in some of the most unusual times we learn the lessons that we really can't slow down to learn. In normal times, so-called normal times, but this is definitely extraordinary times. And the things you did are extraordinary, and what you went through. And for me, I remember the first session we had here when we started back up again. I just gotten back from India. I was away for.
So you can watch the full video. There are lots of good reflection, realizations, and how all the programs are helping them. And please, if you have stories to share, do share as well. So thank you. That was just a quick recap of progress in Bhakti community.
I just wanted to add, first of all, kudos to Jai Madhav and his team for this fantastic work. And Facebook goes a lot by number of likes and shares. So what I do is that it's a ritual for me that every Saturday when Jai Madhav is speaking, I quickly go and like everything. It serves as a nice reminder. So I was just saying that, with the 53 odd that we have right now on Facebook, we can all just go and just like it. It's a few second job only to like. And the kids are doing such a fantastic job, creating such fantastic videos. So, the parents can jump in, and maybe Sukeshwari Bhataji, you can put that as a homework for the kids that they have to like that.
Yeah, thank you, Mother. I do see every week, I do see that you come and like and share. So I really want to thank you that you're doing it so diligently, which others can also follow. Thank you, Mother, for doing that.
Yeah, I'm going to do it too. Like and share whatever I'm not on. But I think it's a good idea. It's a way everyone can bring their attention to Bhakti community and really help. Thank you very much, Jai Madhava Prabhu, for your valiant efforts and diligence in growing the Bhakti community online. Hare Krishna. Sharira Dvijaja Jyotindriya Taheka Jive Pele Vishaya Shagade Dharma De Jibayati Loba Moisu Take jeta katita samsare Krishna Bodha Doyamoy Kori Bare Jiva Jai Shaprasharanda Dilopa Shayanamrita Pa Radha Krishna Gunaga Shri Chaitanya Nitai Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Nitai Mahapachare Govinde Nam Brahmati Vaishve Sapunyavatam Rajan Vishwaso Navijayate Prasade Sarva Dukhanam Hanyasyo Pajayate Prasana Chaita Suyashu Buddhipaya Pratishta Tairopa Bhukta Sartanga Samkara Tarchitaha Uchishta Bodhino Dasyas Tavamayam Jaimahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasada Ki Nitai Goda Haribo 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 Nitai Goda Haribo. Okay, no prasadam unless you report your scores. Report your scores. You got to report your scores right away. It's one of the most important aspects of our Sankirtan movement is reporting the scores every day. Advaita Acharya, Haridas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu would come back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and report their scores. Because it's a marketplace, it's a business. We're in marketing here. We have to know what we did and where we're going. So please call it in and have a happy Dwadashi and a big one too. I go right now and figure out how to distribute 10 more cases this weekend. Hare Krishna. Can everyone please unmute and say Gaura Nityananda?
Gaura Nityananda!
Gaura Nityananda!
Gaura Nityananda!
Anando! Gaura Nityananda!